Hello and welcome to the Make More Placement Show. Today we've got a special guest in Benjamin Mina. Ben, for anyone that doesn't know you or hasn't seen your work before or has heard of the podcast, can you give us a brief intro in terms of you, what you do professionally, and also the podcast side as well?
So I am a recruiter almost 2 decades in the recruiting space. Me and my wife own a recruiting company based in Northern Virginia. We primarily work with government contracting. So that's like companies that support the US federal government. So everything from like crazy black ops stuff to stuff that we don't even know about that we can't talk about because we don't have the security clearances. So it's a crazy world that we're recruited. But I also have a small little recruiting podcast called the Elite Recruiter Podcast. And really that was just a passion project that just seems to keep on growing and growing. And we just have fun and share stories.
Awesome, good stuff. And yeah, I think the first time, I think I've seen you sort of on social media like Facebook and LinkedIn, but the first time I sort of paid attention to what you were doing, I think one of our clients was a big fan of your podcast and told us to check it out. So listen to a few episodes and really enjoy it. But the reason sort of we wanted to get you on today is you're running a summit called the Recruiter Sales and BD Summit. Can you tell us a bit more about that and what that involves?
So it's really so I had to look at doing things a little different when it comes to hosting a podcast. So like this kind of let me just kind of take a few steps back. So this summit is going to be a full week that focused on sales processes, things that can help you drive more placements and make more money. And we're doing this in January to really like help you set up the structure of the year. Because one of the things about recruiting is like we can recruit all day long, but unless we have a paying client, we're not making money. Like the secret is making money. And so we're bringing on a bunch of speakers that are going to help share what they know, best practices to really help set you up for the first quarter. So you start strong, so you could run strong. And so that way 2025, you can finish strong and make it your year of abundance.
Fantastic. Well, great offering. I agree with you 100% what you said there, Ben, about most recruiters. I'd say 99.9% of recruiters know how to recruit, but that 99.9% have never been taught sales and marketing.
And
And that's where the biggest blockages. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, that's why you guys are like so good at what you guys do. It's one of the things that like recruiters, I think it's just the way that recruiters are trained, like early on in their career. Sales is like this a promotion. It's this next level thing when I think truly most recruiters should be trained sales at the same time that they're learning recruiting.
Yeah.
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 One of our arguments often is that sales and marketing is the lifeblood of the business. Unless you've got those two things right, in most cases, you haven't got a business. And even those, we talk to recruiters all the time, but yeah, I've got this big contract, or I've got 3 or 4 clients that, I meet all their needs and we're fine. But if you ever lose those big contracts, then you're not so fine. And you always need to be feeding your business, this, and sales and marketing is the food that keeps the business going. So yeah, great motive then behind the summit you got coming. That's great news. That's just what
Yeah.
recruiters need.
And just to add that, one of the things that excited me about it most, I think recruiters as a whole, that it's the area they struggle the most, as you said. One of the sort of the problems is that we most people fall into recruitment, right? We get a job working for another recruiter, obviously, and then we're taught business development from another recruiter, and there's sort of this downward spiral of being taught the wrong methods or ineffective methods or old methods, and then we're doing that, and then we're teaching our consultants that, and it's sort of never really break free of the finding what really works. And I think that's what excited me about what you've got, what you're doing, and some of the speakers that you've got. But can you, I guess, give us an overview of, I guess, some of the key topics and themes that you're going to be covering during the event?
So it's going to be like covering all over the place when it comes to sales and recruiting because like one of the things like I really need to find a new phrase like other than this because I love my cats, but there's a thousand ways to skin the cats. There's 1,000 ways to do sales. There isn't like just one process that actually like solves everything, but you have to figure out what works for you, the cadence that you need to do, like the technology. Like I know seven-figure billers that hate cold calling and never cold call.
Yeah.
I know great billers that absolutely love cold calling. So you got to figure out what it is to lean into your strengths. And that's why we have such a wide variety of speakers. Kicking off is going to be Diane Prince, who sold her company for $28 million. She's going to have like the framework that she did to do that. Clark Wilcox is a combination of inbound and outbound. Keely Flood is going to be talking about the how to build the actual systems and processes to get your recruiting company up to 10 million. Brenner Suga is just going to talk about crushing the year and the mindset that you need behind it. Sales and tactics is super important, but the sales mindset is one of the most important things. And he's
100%.
100%.
I think he's 3 years Inc. 5000 and just like absolutely just crushing it. John Brooks is going to be talking about how you actually price your deals and how you set up the structure of everything. Donnie Gumpton is going to be talking about video outreach. And I think video outreach is going to be one of the top things I think recruiters need to do, because it's one of those things that really sets you up to stand out of the crowd with AI noise. Donna Zhu is going to be talking about NPCs, and like NPCs are the lifeblood of the business. Sarah Anglade is going to be talking about how she went from starting her own firm to 18 months later, $1.6 million in placements. And what she did to talk about that. Steve is going to be talking about like a combination of AI powered business development with like Clay automations. James Blackwell is going to be talking about like having remote assistance and not having you do everything yourself, especially when it comes to sales. Sharon's going to be talking about like 5 unique ways to actually make placements. And especially it's going to be important if you're actually just getting started out, going out on your own, or like you're looking at like, you know what, let me take last year, rip it up and start all over again. Julia Arpeg is a fireball. She's going to talk about how she closed $800K in revenue within the first 16 months of starting her business and like the things that she's doing. Harry is going to be talking about AI automation. Depp is going to be talking about AI automation. David Stephen Patterson, I'm guessing, might be talking about cold calling, I know he just did a talk on making cold calling great again. So I think he might go that direction again. We're going to talk about how to sell retainers. We're going to talk about with Luis and Jordan. Maddie, who's just absolutely just crushing it, is going to talk about, she's actually, I think, already like just this last year, when the market was going crazy, she was having so much business, she added a bunch of recruiters to her team. She's going to talk about having a multi-channel approach without like working smarter, not harder. And then Trisha Tampkin and Jason's going to be talking about unconventional ways to target new clients. So it's really just a whole gamut across the board of everything, and just so many different ways that you can go about getting new clients. So that way you can find a process and a system that works for you as long as you work it.
Awesome. And again, a strong, really, really strong list of speakers. We've had quite a few of them on this podcast as well. I think Dan, there, DSP, obviously, Donnie Johnson. So yeah, some really big hitters in terms of what they talk about in terms of business development and actually growing a business. So yeah, really excited to sort of attend some of those events.
Can I just ask a question? Did you say DSP is doing a presentation on making cold calling great again? Is that the name of his presentation?
He actually hasn't put his presentation information. I'm nudging him. It's one of the fun things about when you host an event, it's rounding up everybody and making sure everything's in there and that kind of stuff. But I know he just did. He's got a whole list of things that he's doing. I know that the last summit we held, I think it was one of the most shown up to talks was him actually talking about cold calling.
Yeah, it was just the title. It reminds me of a certain presidential campaign. Cold calling great again. That's what made me smile.
I think that was the purpose behind it, on his last talk.
Yeah.
Awesome. And it's your second time running an event, is that right?
So this will actually be the 4th event that. So the first one was just what I call the Recruiting Growth Summit.
Yeah.
And that was back in March, and then in August we did the AI Summit, was just talking about AI and all this stuff, and then we did the Finish the Year Strong Summit, which was kind of running it out of Q3, a launch into Q4. And so I think we're gonna we're doing this on a wing and a prayer and figuring out things along the way. And we're thinking here on the podcast side of the house of maybe having 4 main summits per year, especially the growth and the growth summits in March coming out of Q1 going into Q2. When the energy just starts dipping, the motivation starts dipping, and you need that little that boost to hit the next quarter. That's what that's for. And then the next recruiting growth summit is going to be at the end of Q3 going into Q4 to help you same thing. Energy's dipping. Let's go attack the rest of the year and finish strong.
Awesome.
Love that. Love the idea. I think when I started working in the industry with you, Terry, there was a lot more of these type of events, but they seem to have sort of died out. So I'm really to see it come back around and value that it's provided.
If you want to laugh, it was completely of a dumb idea that I had, and I call dumb ideas the ideas that I let me think about this. Let me try it out. Let me see if it works. So that's kind of like my thing. And I was like, during a run, I'm like, what if I just bring in some of my podcast guests to come speak at one event or something I'll put on? And I mean, these events, there's like, it is free to attend all the lives, and the VIP to get access to the replays. So if you want to watch it over and over again, it's such a small investment when it comes to the power pack, like the list of talks and the list of speakers. But like the cool thing is like, if you're looking for a coach, if you're looking for somebody that like you can relate to, like come see them. It's free for the live sessions. And then like, okay, cool. Like maybe that's a person that can help me.
Awesome. So
Great
yeah,
idea.
tell me a bit more about that. So obviously it's free to attend, and for anyone interested, if you go to makemoreplacements.com/summit, you can sign up there, read more about it. But tell me the difference between like the free attendance and the VIP, just for anyone to see.
Like for the free attendance, like when the session is live, it's 100% free to sign up, free to show up to, free to like take notes and learn. And it's really just like before the summit starts, it's $99 for VIP. And what VIP does is gets you access to the replays. So you can like, once you get done, or if you're busy and there's a talk that you want to see, like meetings, like beforehand, before the summit starts, it's $99. When the summit's going on, it's $149. And then once it's done, it's $299. Like it's a stupid amount of money for the amount of like impact that you'll have and the value that you have. And here's the thing I want to do. Like, this isn't like a make me rich kind of thing. I wanted to kind of like level out and make things accessible for all the recruiters out there. Cause man, I remember when I first started out, I was like hoping a prayer and like struggling on ramen noodles. And if I could just like get that little bit of like hit of information, I knew it was going to take me to the next level. And I know there's recruiters out there that do that. And if you want, like, the only reason why I really charge like a little bit for the VIPs is because people realize the value if they pay for something. The first summit I did, I actually like pretty much like, it was like barely any cost. And then the stickability that people have if they have even a little bit of an investment, because you're investing in your future.
No, 100%. Skin in the game always makes people take things more seriously. I think that can be applied to recruitment as well. I think you always get more commitment from a retained client than you do just go down the opportunity route for the exact same reason. Right?
We can go down a rabbit hole on that one. Like, I got like 7 clients, 7 agreements. Has anybody paid those bills?
Yeah.
Just to check, right? With the VIP, is that I mean, because obviously it's bargain at $99 or whatever it was. Is that lifetime access, or is it for a limited time? Or how's that work?
Lifetime.
Awesome. Perfect.
It's amazing.
Awesome. So can you just on the summit, can you tell me a bit more about, I guess, how the talks that you've got going on, the speakers there, how they're going to address sort of current trends in the industry? Because I know there's a lot, the market's been crazy this year. There's a lot of different things going on. How are they going to address the current trends in the industry right now?
So it's like current trends. Do you mean like how the market has just been nuts, or current trends of like when it comes to like the absolute breathtaking change of how technology is also moving?
I mean,
I think it's
both sense, right? I think the market's been how the market's been, but then there's also AI has been massive this year. Obviously, you mentioned video marketing there a bit earlier on. I mean, how is it going to address those current, I guess, challenges and concerns that recruiters have right now?
So that's one of the things, like when I was looking at kind of putting the speakers together, it was kind of like that was like the back end thought process of like, okay, here's the challenges that recruiters are having, just because I talked to so many recruiters. Here's like what they're doing. Here's like what's changing in the industry. Here's what I think like might be some of the top tools coming in like into the recruiting space in 2025. So that's kind of like how the speakers are kind of selected and put together was to address a lot of that's happening in the industry. And one of the most important things is why we have a combination of like, recruiters, like my recruiting friends talking, some trainers talking, is because like there's recruiters out there just absolutely crushing it. Like the market sucks and they're still winning. They're still crushing it. They're still doing work.
100%.
And so that's why we brought some like recruiters in there. Cause it's one of those things like I think this is like a thing that we always have to think about. You are who you hang out with. And what's that quote that I'm sure you guys have heard of? Like you're the exact
an average of the 5 people that you hang around. Yeah. Jim Rohn. Yeah.
But here's the thing. In 2024 and 2025, that's a little different because of how virtual we are. You are the exact same people as the 25 most people that you talk to or deal with online, because that is your new world. So whether it's like listening to like, you guys over and over, you guys can literally become like, you guys are probably virtual mentors to a lot of recruiters out there. And you are absolutely impacting them. So it's like, you can choose to create a bubble of winners, or you can choose to create a bubble of, still keep them as friends, but you need to create yourself a bubble of like people that are crushing it, because that'll raise your ship too.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I was
you can.
reading a book recently about this very subject, and this guy was saying he recruits salespeople. One of the questions he asked them is, what sales books or what sales training have you had? And if a sales guy says, I don't bother, or I don't read them, the interview goes no further, because it's great
Yeah.
believing this very thing. Unless you're immersing yourself in that pool, for want of a better word, you're going to remain as you are now. So it's absolutely spot on what you said there, Ben. Yeah, it's the influence and the access that everybody's got access to this material now. There is no excuse, is there? No excuse whatsoever not to know these things.
No, 100%. And I think, especially because it's free, right? And I think,
Yeah,
I think, like you said, Terry, you can be as thick-skinned as you like. You are going to be influenced by who you surround yourself with, who you listen to, who you speak to. And I think this is a perfect opportunity to hear from some of the top performers, top performing coaches, and top performing recruiters of the industry. And I think, no matter what I've always thought, right, is no matter how the market is, how the economy is, there's always people that do well. There's always people that excel in any environment. And I think if you're a recruiter, listen to this. I think if you could solve the challenge of business development, if you could wave a magic wand and get all the clients you want on the terms you want for the fee you want, you wouldn't really experience a tough market or a challenging market, right? Because you'd all your problems would be solved, right? So I think now more than ever is a perfect time to, if you head over to makemoreplacements.com/summit, again, sign up for this summit that Benjamin's hosting. I think it's a perfect time more than now to go and do that. Benjamin, from your point of view, I guess what advice would you give to any recruiters into this, potential attendees? What advice would you give to them to maximize the value they receive from actually attending the summit?
I think one of the biggest things that I think a lot of people, like when they go into watching something or a summit, like half the time they're going for just the influence and the excitement. But I think one of the most important things is like the week before, figure out two things. Figure out your vision for 2025. Spend some time figuring out the direction, write it down that you want your life to be at the end of the year. Like have that in a spot that you're going to look at 3 times per day. And then secondly, write down some of the things that you want to learn. Because as you're sitting there like listening to these speakers and you're like your top 3 things that you want to learn, you're going to be ready to like receive that. Like, okay, wait, that just solved the problem that I've been looking for. So like you want to figure out vision and figure out what your biggest takeaways that you want to pull out of it. And I think that will make it a super successful summit for yourself.
Awesome. And then
yeah.
can you remind us of the dates of the summit again, please?
The dates of the summit are going to be January 13th through the 17th.
Awesome. Perfect. And you can find out more details by going to makemoreplacements.com/summit. Benjamin, again, thanks for coming on the show and about summit.
Before we say goodbye, you guys are actually coming and sharing at the Recruiting Growth Summit in March. So stay tuned for those details. I think they are going to have an absolute power-packed session.
Yeah, awesome.
Thanks, Ben.
Sorry, Terry, you go.
Yeah, I would say thank you very much for that. Really looking forward to actually. I've locked the dates out and everything, so I'm looking forward to hearing what's going on in the marketplace from some of our peers as well. So it sounds like an amazing talented pool of talent rather. So if you're an owner or a director, or if you're in the recruitment industry, you've got no excuse. You can get access to this free, and if it's not free, it's gonna be very cheap. So go over to that link that Drew's given you several times. Give it again, please, Drew.
It's makemoreplacements.com/summit. But I'll put it in the podcast notes, and obviously wherever you're watching this now, it will be on that page somewhere.
Yeah. But yeah, massive thank you, Ben, for putting these type of events on. Because as Drew said, years ago, and I'm going back maybe 15, 20 years ago, they were quite frequent, weren't they, Drew?
Yeah.
These type of events. With 3 or 4 people that do this on a regular basis. But that kind of dried up over the years. So it's well done you for putting this on, Ben. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Excited for everything. Excited for every single recruiter that's going to grow. It's been awesome to hear from the last few summits that the people that have gotten out of it re-energized, retooled, and ready to go, and have actually increased their business. Like got more placements, got more money, and completely changed their families' lives by just accessing the information and putting it to work.
Yeah, taking action with it. Beautiful.
Awesome. Benjamin, thanks a lot for your time. Again, just final reminder, go to makemoreplacements.com.